Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for One Piece chapter 985. And oh boy, if I had a way to describe this chapter to you guys, this felt like the Empire. This really kind of cemented for me that Wano arc, for whatever faults it may have, really kind of feels like the Empire Strikes Back of of the One Piece world. Like it really feels like it's inching toward it always feels like it's inching towards something bigger. And this chapter I think just cemented all of that into my memory that this is all moving full steam ahead towards pretty much towards the pretty much grand finale of the series. And yeah, I never got that feeling more than I did in this chapter. Okay, so yeah, there's so much to talk about with this chapter. Obviously, the big thing being is that Kaido straight up executes Orochi, which is shocking in itself. But the interesting thing about it is that it's from that point on that so many narrative threads, both in this chapter and just throughout this arc in general, start to make sense in terms of tying it all back to why Wano has been closed off to begin with. It was pretty much all a means for Kaido to hide his intention of implementing the mass takeover of Wano. And you want to know the best, like we pretty much already knew that I mean, I think in some ways we already knew that Kaido was planning to pretty much take absolute control of Wano at some point. But the best but it was but the best thing, but you really want to know the best thing about best part about this reveal. Everything up until this point has really just been Kaido biding his time and manipulating the situation through Orochi until this exact moment. Like, understand, what I'm practically saying here is that Orochi's death was pretty much pre-planned by Kaido, and I guess by extension Oda as well, to happen in this very moment, in this exact like point in time, because Kaido knew that when all the because Kaido knew that this particular chapter it set up that this is when all the pieces would line up perfectly into place. Kaido knew that this would happen, so that and that was probably the best time in order to usurp and take control of basically Orochi's control over Wano. And it just falls even something as simple as keeping Yamato, even something as simple as learning that Kaido has been keeping Yamato restrained and shackled so she couldn't leave Wano, holds so much more context to this. Like, yeah, it even that, for as messed up as it is, and we'll get into that, it all serves the purpose of his grand scheme of just taking complete control of Wano. Like, it's for Kaido, the only purpose Orochi served was really in order to set all the pieces on the board, and then which would give him the opportunity to just come in and usurp all the power. It's and now and the thing is, with something like this, it isn't something new. We've kind of seen this before with like Doflamingo and Crocodile. But I think and I can definitely see people kind of critiquing it in that way, but of a pirate creating a pirate utopia to obtain the One Piece. That's nothing new. But honestly, what Kaido's done in this chapter, I think, is the best done out of those other two scenarios. Out of those two scenarios with both Crocodile and Doflamingo, because for the simple reason that not only has Kaido succeeded in taking over Wano even before Luffy arrived, but at this point as well, Oda has done a good job at creating this unsure atmosphere of whether or not Kaido will even be defeated, despite all the setups we've gotten pointing in that direction. Because at this point, despite the best efforts of our heroes, Kaido's vice grip on Wano has largely remained unchanged, and on top of the fact that he's now allied with Big Mom, and including the fact that Nami and Carrot have been captured, as well as Momonosuke still set up to be executed, it just creates this very dire situation where for as much as it all seems like that things are at least are going to give our heroes somewhat of a fighting chance, you just don't know, and you still just don't know if they're actually going to succeed. And it really creates this terrifying thought as well that Kaido almost really could succeed in his plan in order to gain the One Piece. Because remember, it's been heavily foreshadowed in past chapters that there is a war for the throne of the Pirate King coming, and this chapter and any chapters beyond this could be like the real turning point for all of that to happen. Like this is the real, like again, this is the chapter that made me realize this is the Empire Strikes Back of the One Piece world. That it's moving forward and pushing us all pretty much towards the finale of One Piece, even more. And yeah, like at this point, I think anything can go with what's going to happen to Wano, with Kaido, all that. Now, getting back to Yamato and her being shackled so she couldn't leave Wano, in many respects has some very dark implications to it, because even though the reason for it was revealed that Kaido wants her to be Shogun, it just hearing her talk about the experience in herself hints at how it's very much affected her emotionally, and as well as some very heavy hints that Kaido has been that basically she suffered abuse at Kaido's hands, which there are so many ways I think in order to look at that. The first is that it almost makes you think that Kaido has been disappointed the fact that Yamato is his daughter when he more than likely probably wanted a son. Or it's either that, or it's some kind of weird deal where it's some kind of, or either that, or it's some kind of weird twisted deal where he's been trying to protect her in some way, because Yamato mentioned that basically being shackled like that prevented her from going with Ace. And while that could be that he just didn't like Whitebeard, maybe he also knew what would happen if she inevitably followed Ace, and it's his weird twisted way of trying to show he cares and wanted to protect her. Like I don't know, there's just some very this whole situation right now, this whole situation with Yamato's relationship with Kaido, it really needs to be explored more, because there's a very twisted relationship going on here, and it's revealed just how twisted their relationship is, and it seems to be going in these various different directions of it is on the surface, it definitely is like emotional and physical abuse in many ways, but then what's the purpose for this? I think there is some weird twisted like sense of love he does feel for Yamato in some way, I think, but we'll just have to wait and see where that goes, because I don't know what their relationship is all about, and I want to learn more what it is. With that said, let's talk about the confrontation between Kanjuro and the other Akazeya 9. And while it's epic and cool to see Kiku get some well-deserved, like just kind of try and get some well-deserved revenge against Kanjuro for his betrayal, this also kind of this whole setup has all the genuine markings of a distraction, and just in general, like Kanjuro attempting to run down the clock until Momonosuke is executed. But the key thing is here, with Orochi having been executed even before Momonosuke, it'll be interesting to see where exactly Kanjuro is going to fall in this conflict now, because although he hates the Kozuki clan, that part has been made abundantly clear. Kaido killing Orochi, the man, his lord, might give him just enough of that push to call a sort of temporary truce and put more and put more focus and shift his focus to more revenge on Kaido. And the thing is too, if Oda was to give Kanjuro anything resembling a redemption arc, that would really be the only way to do it for his characters, since Kanjuro has taken so many steps has done so much in order to betray the Yakuza 9 and just the Kozuki clan in general, that there's really no going back for him beyond this point. Like it would especially work. It would especially work too, since Orochi, for as bad as he was, Orochi was the only one who saved Kanjuro, so he's kind of indebted to Orochi, and I think that's probably like when he learns Orochi's dead, that's probably going to point where he shifts allegiances, at least just temporarily, and says, okay, let's call off the bullshit, let's strike a truce, and let's go revenge like on Kaido kind of thing. So yeah, it does seem to kind of be pulling everyone kind of together against Kaido right now. So that's the other thing I think that could happen, that could lead to Kaido's defeat, is that everything is kind of pulling people against Kaido right now, I think. So with that said, for as crazy as this chapter was, I still admit I was not the biggest fan of how this chapter ended. I mean, obviously One Piece, like any other shonen, is known for having its comedy bits, but something about that ending not only felt off, but just kind of took me emotionally out of the chapter or something. Like I guess it's kind of cool to see Luffy and Yamato like kind of act in the same reckless way, but it's like, did we really need to end it like that? Like, it was so epic, but you kind of ended like that. Okay, but yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Lister Control. Dead Knight of Enemy, signing off. Later, guys.